I think that the moral aversion, or what we can call the nuclear taboo, this is a widespread inhibition on using nuclear weapons first, on crossing that nuclear threshold. And this norm, this taboo, is associated with this by now 77-year-long tradition of non-use. And I think this taboo is widespread. It doesn't mean that every country holds it in exactly the same way. Public opinion shows that different countries, are more strongly in favor of a no first use of nuclear weapons than others. But this is now a norm of the international system that is promoted by the UN.
Well, I know. You've worked for bosses as diverse as Adolf Hitler and John F. Kennedy. Does it matter for whom you make rockets?
Oh, I think it does. It does matter a great deal. Remember, I was a very young man in Germany, and I was so busy with my rockets that maybe in retrospect I sometimes wonder whether I shouldn't have worried a little more about some of these aspects. And as I grew older, of course, and saw the ramifications, of course, also the suffering that's involved, you rethink some of these things.
So a while back, one of our listeners sent in a picture of, I guess, these stand-ups they've started putting up in the malls around the Northeast. This one is supposedly up in New Jersey. And it's a giant stand-up in the mall that just says, "Radiation emergencies, what should I do?" With no context, just radiation emergencies, like, oh, hey, there might be one of those. What should you do?
What should I do about something I can't see or control?
Right. And didn't know to expect was coming at any second the way they're making it seem, right? And all of a sudden now they're going to start warning about it.
Well, we're all in this together, and it's true that we all should be together, and all we need is you. We've got a problem. There's this big problem we've got to solve, and the biggest problem is the people who just can't get involved.
The horrors of nuclear war were laid bare more than 75 years ago when the United States dropped atomic bombs on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. At the time, America was the world's sole nuclear power. Now, faster forward to today, and 9 nations now possess nuclear weapons. Others may soon obtain them, and the potential for things to go terribly wrong has vastly increased.
Today it looks again very close, but in the meantime, of course, we've learned a few things. Among others, I've learned, for example, what $1 billion is, something I had no conception for in the early days.
The U.S. as a whole really isn't prepared. The U.S. and its citizens is not prepared for any type of nuclear disaster and its aftermath.
Like, what?
Well, they're spreading fear, and they're getting people to thrive on a metabolism of fear. And then these spokespersons are just like, you got it. Just stay inside. Just get inside and stay inside. It'll do nothing. It means nothing.
Even with the worst nuclear attack imaginable, it is still possible that a very large portion of our population could survive if the proper steps are taken now.
Now, nuclear weapons have not been used since those dark days in August 1945, thanks to a mixture of norms, treaties, mutual assurances, blandishments, suasion, technical mechanisms, fear, and taboo. But then at the end of February, Russian President Vladimir Putin warned nations that interfere in Ukraine would suffer consequences like they've never seen in their history. Days later, he put Russia's nuclear deterrence forces on high alert.
It gets more like idiocracy every single day.
If the nearest shelter is more than a couple of steps away, fall to the ground immediately. Flying glass and debris are immediate dangers, so stay where you are until you're sure it's safe to move.
But then bone-chilling bluster, former Russian President and Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev saying he will do everything to make his country's enemies disappear and that the horsemen of the apocalypse are on their way. And that the horsemen of the apocalypse are on their way.
I'm just here for the funsies of the fake alien invasion.
It's a spiritual battle, a warfare between good and evil.
We know now that the next crisis is already waiting for us around the corner.
Take care, fisherman in a box.
Yeah.